Hello everyone, and I thought today I'd do a video on what to look out for when you're buying a 303 or you're in the market for buying a 303. So let's go over that, shall we? This will go for number 1 Mark 3s and the stars. For number 1 Mark 3 and the star. This one Mark 3. So let's go over it first. But of course, before we do that, let's go over the differences between this and the Ishapore 2A1. I don't have an Ishapore 2A1, but I know the differences. So let's get into that. So the Ishapore 2A1 and the 2A is based off the Mark III Star, which, if you don't know what the Mark III is, they remove the magazine caps off, they get rid of the volley sights, and they get rid of the windage adjustment, so pretty much just making it cheaper to manufacture, but still keeping it as a universal short rifle for the cavalry and the infantry. So the 2A1 has a aluminium butt plate instead of the nice brass ones. They have no stock discs. That was something that was done on the Mark III Star. Removed the stock disc as the Germans could find out what battalion was attacking where. The magazine will be a lot more squared off instead of like nice and rounded, although this is still a box type magazine. So it'll be a lot more squared off. This is a 10 rounds. The Ishapore 2A1 does have 10 rounds, but it's like square. They have a 12 round one, which does extend more. The sling loops, if you find a 2A, they might have recycled parts on the 2A, such as the sling loops and the number 1 Mark III Star sight. On the 2A1, these are much more flatter in the sense that they're stamped. The trigger, the magazine release, the bolt, the receiver will be the exact same as the 303, except this will, on the Ishapore, it will be made out of much more stronger steel instead of the 303 one. Mark III Stars and the Ishapore 2A1, well, the Ishapore will not have this cocking piece, it will just be a pure flat one. The safety will be the exact same as the Ishapore and the number 1 Mark III and the Star. The only thing that's different between the number 1 Mark III and the Ishapore 2A1, this is still in 303. The Ishapore 2A1 is chambered in 7.62, or if you're in the United States, 308. But other than that, everything still works extended 303. Of course, no magazine cutoff. The Mark III Stars do not have that. The charger bridge will be like a Mauser one in a sense. So just be like a very small gap. You might see that on the Australian ones in 223 or 7.62 by 39 in the AK-47 round. You've got to look at the socket markings. Sorry, this band here is called the socket, or stock socket, because this is where the first and the second half of the stock is. So if you see Ishapore 2A or 2A1, 7.62 millimeter, 1960 whatever, and then you see RFI, Royal Factory Ishapore. Meanwhile, on these Enfields, you'll find, well, like mine, GR, which is George's Rex, the Enfield stamp, 1915 or whatever year yours is, so it could be from the 50s to 70s, or even like an early example like this. SHTLE, short Lee Enfield, and then the Mark III, or if you get one from the 1950s, it'll have MK3, number 1 MK3 asterisk star. Like I said, the magazine will be different. The this is actually for a canvas cover to go over the breech, so you don't get mud in the breech. On the Mark III Star and the Ishapore, it's not going to be like this nice milled ones. And on the Ishapore for the final thing, Ishapore 201, 762 sights. You see this little part in this sight where it goes outwards. The Indian one has it the exact same as this one. It's just completely flat. It's also completely flat on this side. And of course, the squared off nose cap, so it's not going to be nice and round like this one. Anyways, what are you looking out for when buying an M1 Mark III or a Mark III Star? Well, it really depends on what you're looking for. If you're looking for a Indian made production, look out for a extra bolt right here, which that shows it was once it. Let me restart. If you see a bolt in the force stock here, and you look at the socket markings and you see, oh, it's a British rifle, but why does it have a issue bolt? Well, some of these Lee Enfields, after the First World War and the Second, they got sent down to India, to the Ishapore factory, and had a bolt here, so which strengthens this, and they also changed out this force stock. So as you can see, if I just move the bolt up, it's got this brass pin in. This is an early example as well. So what that means is, if I wanted to disassemble this, I don't take off the stock. I take off the stock, the bolt in here, it will break the insides of that. So I have to take this off first, the force stock, and then take off the actual stock itself, the butt stock. Well, if you're looking for a nice 303, make sure it has a nice good brass butt plate. If you're really looking for one, if you want like a Mark III, look for the stock disc. Some of the early examples of the Mark III Star also have the stock disc. So you're looking for Mark III Stars are about 1915. So after 1915, this was completely removed. And it was just filled in. The magazines will be the exact same. The trigger, the magazine release, all the exact same. All the exact same. Now, if you have a specific type of cocking piece you're looking for, so say this is yours and it's all matching numbers, but you don't, and it has like the standard cocking piece without this, the oval one. You don't like that, well, you can just swap it out. But that is your preference, if you like this oval one or you just like the standard, like the one you see on the number 4s. Well, it's just that, remove this. Then yeah, go for which one you want. I know that they do this quite a bit. This cocking piece is quite common. This one was quite common as well, but for the early stages of the war. Some of the Mark IIIs will have a 5-piece safety, so what that means is like the safety was in 5 pieces. The extra 5th piece is for your volley sight, which would be here, and one there. So there will be a screw in the forestock behind the barrel band, which would be here, where the screw was. You can see this on early examples of P14s as well. None of the M17s as well. But anyways. So this one's a 4-piece safety as the volley sight is gone. So of course the safety just knocks down the trigger and the bolt. If you're looking for a Mark III, so this one's a 1915, and this magazine cutoff has never come off of this rifle. So this stayed as a Mark III throughout service. And yeah, that never came off. Some of the Mark IIIs have these completely taken off and became known as Mark III Stars after that, but after the war they put them back on because it was a part of the doctrine at the time, or the training, not the doctrine. The doctrines with the magazine. Yes, there is a doctrine with the magazine. But yeah. So the magazine cutoff was taken off. That's a Mark III star. If it's put back on after the war, it's Mark III. The best way you can tell a Mark III between a Mark III star, well, if they just have an asterisk. And if it's a Mark III that was converted to a star, you'll see the provision for the cutoff. And of course, if it's a Mark III star, this cutoff piece would be completely unnecessary. If you're interested in buying a Mark III or an SMLE, number 1 Mark III, the sling is bothering. You want to be careful with these wooden time pieces right here. What I mean is by the wooden time pieces, so we have the rear handguard and the front handguard. And as you can see, I'll just go and do a top-down perspective of the sight. You see these two little wooden pieces that go along the side of the weapon. Those are called wooden times. And pretty much that was just done because they needed a gap for the sight. When you're buying a Mark III or Mark III star, if you want these wooden time pieces intact, but let's say like you're shooting it for a long while and then they accidentally break off, you know how much it costs to replace these two pieces of handguard or these two pieces of wood? The last I saw was £80. £80 for the rear and the front handguard plus these wooden time pieces. Now, if you buy a Mark III star and these are completely gone, it's not the end of the world. You can just replace that. But if you want to keep the original wood, but these time pieces are not there, just leave it the way as it is. Not all Mark III stars are going to have the windage sight, so don't worry about that. They will shoot great, except this is a this one has been sadly deactivated, so it won't shoot because of UK law. Let's see what else I can talk about. I suppose nose cap. If you see, like I was explaining, a nose cap that's squared off, that's an issue port 2A1. Now, if you see a squared off nose cap with a 303 magazine brass butt plate, check the socket markings first. And if you see like this part of the charger bridge that's completely squared off, don't always assume it's going to be 7.62, because there was some Indian Lee Enfields made in the 1950s and a squared off part of this charger bridge. And of course the squared off ones is 7.62, but then it's also squared off ones that are in 303 British as well. So don't always assume that it's got a squared off nose cap, 303 well 12 round magazine and a aluminium butt plate. Don't always assume that's 7.62. We see a Lee Enfield with squared off nose cap, 10 round 303 mag, and a brass butt plate. Don't assume that it's 7.62. If you're looking for the bayonet, the bayonets for the Chapeau and the Mark III, they will still take the pattern 1907, which is a short sword in a sense. And of course, the one thing that you're looking for if you're in the United States for 303s is that bore condition. So how good the rifling is inside this barrel. The best way to do that is to take out the bolt, take out the magazine, field strip it pretty much, but don't actually field strip the bolt. Just stick a torch at the end of the nose cap and then just look down and see how good the rifling is. Make sure if it's light or if it's dark. It's got light or heavy pitting, it's up to you. But if you see one online and you don't really know what the condition is, well, just go with your best guess, or if you want to try and contact the seller, see what the condition is like. So yeah, so that's what you'll need to look out for when you're in the market for a 303 British. I hope you've enjoyed, and I'll see you guys later.